Hey, what's good, lads? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be predicting UFC Paris. It's a pretty decent card, bottom of the top. And yeah, I'm pretty excited for it, guys. Again, timestamps in the description so you can watch what you want to watch. But yeah, let's go on to the very first fight of the card, guys. Um, one of the most important fights of the entire year. We have Sean O'Bannon versus Sam Hughes. The implications of this one are groundbreaking, spectacular, grandiose main event fight, as you may. No, I mean, let's just move on. Andreas Gustafsson versus Rinat Fakhretdinov. Um, I don't know why this fight is so low on the card, to be honest. We have undefeated technically prospect in Rinat, and we have a somewhat high prospect as well in Gustafsson. I don't actually know if he's undefeated. Let me just check real quick. No, he's not. But oh no, Rinat has a loss. Never mind. But yeah. Uh, I don't know, dude. With this fight, I'm going to go with Gustafsson. I think this is the correct pick in terms of the trajectories of these guys' career. We've learned a lot about both fighters recently. I mean, Bernat has had like quite a few close calls recently, that quite frankly haven't aged well individually as well. He had that, pretty sure it was a draw to Alessio dos Santos, who just got slammed out by Magny pretty easily, broken as the fight went on. You have the loss to Carlos Leal, who Muslim Salikov put in a bloody, was able to just smoke up in a blunt instantly, you know what I mean? And then I've got what other fights this guy had, but there was also that Kevin Lee win he had. You can kind of just, oh yeah, split decision to Dalby, who got slimed out by Randy Brown recently. So yeah, good dude. And then Gustafsson, he hasn't shown much in the UFC, but in his last fight, he kind of showed that he's able to just out physicality his opponent across 15 minutes and just like do more. I think Renat's just left it to these close decisions way too much as of recently. I'm going to be going with Gustafsson. I trust he'll be able to get this done here. Um, yeah, man, he should just be able to make this ugly. Um, and yeah, just do enough to win a decision. I don't think Renat's finishing ability is there, to be honest. I mean, Carlos Leal he got slimed out pretty easily by Salikov, and yeah, Renat just wasn't able to do anything. So, yeah, I'm going to be going with Gustafsson here. I think it's the correct pick, but yeah. Moving on, Brad Tavares versus Robert Bryce. I don't know, but I think this is a pretty clear pick. I mean, Tavares has always been one of those like gatekeepers of like the top 15. He's kind of fallen off a little bit as of recently, losing to Junyoung Park. Um, Literally the guy from the Gangnam Style song. But yeah, Robert Bryce, he's kind of just a bum. I forgot what his last fight. Yeah, literally losing to Ihor Peteria, dude. Ihor Peteria, the same guy that got slimed out by Michel Pereira. Uh, Had a close fight with Cesar Almeida, to be fair, but yeah, like this, it's just different levels of competition. I don't know why they're giving him Tavares after losing to Poiteria. You know what I mean? I think Tavares is still like 20 through maybe 30 middleweight. Obviously, the elite takedown defense as well. I think this is a pretty easy pick. I think if Tavares was to lose this would like signal the very end of his career, to be honest. But yeah, most wins in middleweight history. I'm pretty sure it's like some statistic like that. I trust Tavares should be able to get this done. This is like a layup for him. So yeah, Sam Patterson versus Trey Waters. I'm going to be trusting the prospect that's actually looked good as of recently. Trey Waters has just had a few wins that have just been like decisions. Sam Patterson, he had a little bit of a rough start, but he's a guy that came from Cage Warriors, a legitimate promotion outside the UFC. One of the ones that I put the most stock in personally. And yeah, as of recently, he's been able to get consistent finishes, and his last performance, especially against Danny Barlow, very impressive submission. I'm pretty sure it was, or maybe it was TKO, I forgot. But yeah, it was a really impressive outing for him. It was a KO, yeah, and then submission over Crosby. it's Kiefer Crosby, so you can't put all too much into that. But yeah, submission over this guy as well, we ignore. But yeah, dude, I just trust that he's able to get this one done. I mean, Danny Barlow, in my opinion, is levels above a Trey Waters. Um, so yeah, dude, I'd say Patterson probably gets a sub pretty comfortably in this fight, to be honest. But yeah, let's move on. Rough one. Yeah, originally this fight was supposed to be Fares Ziam against Kaue Fernandez, and yeah, Harry Hardwick's been put there to kind of go to the slaughter house, to be honest, because I think Kaue Fernandez, he's not elite. I think he's like a maybe a 23-30 lightweight potentially. We can't really put too much stock in the Garam win, but he has legitimate skill in the striking at range, particularly, and yeah, he's just a tough out in my opinion. And I think I don't know, man. Just a few days notice for Harry Hardwick. He's obviously like a legitimate champ outside of the UFC, but you can't trust this dude. I think Caio Fernandez is gonna get this done probably by some form of finish. I think, especially if the fight goes on. I think maybe we could see how Hardwick land some takedowns early on. Fernandez survives, but then Hardwick will probably break later on into the fight with this being short notice. I can see how that goes, but yeah, let's move on. Marcin Tybura versus Ante Delija. We've seen this story before, dude. A guy that's hyped up training from a Tom Aspinall gym. And to be fair, Ante Delija does look a bit less plotty and a bit more uh explosive than Mick Parkin. But I don't know, man. I think Marcin Tybura is really underrated. I think he's just like really good at fraud checking guys coming into the UFC. And not even just new guys, but he's just able to he just has really good ground and pound threat on these people that don't have like much takedown defense. And if you're not able to just blitz him immediately into a fight, I feel like he just kind of becomes a major issue, especially when he takes you down. So yeah, dude, I just trust Tybura is able to get this done. The only way I see Delija winning this is via some form of blitz immediately into the fight, kind of like Tom Aspinall did it. But other than that, dude, I think Tybura should be able to take him down and maybe secure some sort of sub, some sort of brutal ground and pound finish. I just trust his ability at this point. His matchmaking makes no sense, but yeah, like if you're trying to get prospects into heavyweight, dude, like don't just like put them in against like a Marcin Tybura immediately. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. I don't get this matchmaking, but on to the next one. Oumar versus Brendson Ribiero. This one's honestly a little bit hard to predict because I don't rate Umar very highly at all. I think he's kind of like it's funny because he's kind of like a Cyril Gane, um, having like kind of elusive looking striking, but he also has like a grappling threat. But yeah, at the end of the day, he's a light heavyweight, so it is a division where that elusiveness and the grappling threat isn't going to mean as much because people are more skilled and you can get chinned way easier in this division with people being more athletic. So yeah, I don't really see him going far, to be honest, though that Alonzo Menifield fight was close. And Brendson Ribiero, he's kind of just a chinny guy who's able to beat up absolute bums like Neat Dia Nugazai. Um, and yeah, dude, I feel like this is either gonna be a submission slash TKO or a Ribiero KO, to be honest. I could see Ribiero potentially getting into the pocket and causing some trouble there, but this could also be like a boring clinch fest, to be honest. Um, to be honest, I probably trust size chances in this fight a little bit more. Ribeiro's always been a bit more of a chinny guy. I think Sai has the grappling advantage as well. He has the judges on his side. He has the size advantage, which a lot of opponents don't usually have on Ribiero as well. You know what? I'm just gonna trust him on my side. It just makes sense. I can't really go Ribiero with all this stuff being against him and the matchmaking too. So yeah, dude, I'm gonna be going with Urumasa here. On to the next one, William Gomis versus Robert Ruchala. Um, Listen, dude, even though William Gomis is going to these split decisions with, well, I mean, pretty much like all his opponents, like realistically, I think he should have lost the Barreto fight, to be honest. The Hyder and Mill fight, I think he arguably is a bit of a tough call, but thinking back to the fight, I think, to be fair, Hyder and Mill was imposing as well quite a bit more, but Gomez was landing the better shot. So, yeah, I don't know. He leaves it too close a lot of the time, but I don't know, man. With this being in France, um, and with Ruchala being a debuting UFC guy, I feel like I just have to go with the common logic here that Gomez should at least be able to make this close and yeah, just eke out a decision. The guy's legitimately skilled, dude. Like to technically kind of outstrike Joannis and Brito across three. And, obviously Hunter Mill got slimed out by Jose Delgado, but to a guy who is going to go 3 rounds with him, I think Gomez honestly put up a decent fight against the guy who would maraud against him for a full 3 rounds. So yeah, I just trust that Gomez should be able to be patient enough to not get finished here, and he should be able to make this at least a close decision to where I think the judges are going to favor him. And yeah, Ruchala has been brutally finished recently. He's kind of like well-rounded, but like I don't know. I don't think he excels in anywhere in any aspect of the fight game, to be honest. He's kind of like a little bit wild as well. Yeah, I think Gomis should be able to get this done, to be honest. So yeah, I think he's just fought way better comp. Ioannis and Berto, in hindsight, lost to Pat Sabatini. Not looking great, but I think he's just fought better comp. So yeah, dude. Um, Patricio Pitbull versus Losene Keita. Um, I was kind of tempted to go with Keita here. Um, maybe largely because I kind of want him to win. I think a lot of people kind of are hating on Pitbull at the moment just because I don't know. He's just incredibly boring, and he always gets these like spots on press conferences, and just like is the most boring, useless guy there. And I don't know, man. This is something that is it just gives off like more Mario Bautista Bilal vibes. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I think he should be able to get this win though, to be honest, because dude, K is literally just the guy that swings big meaty hooks and doesn't even do so with timing. He literally just like goes out there, tries to impose his will with same side attacks. Not very smart. Um, yeah, I think, and Pitbull faced this before. He literally just fought Power Puncher and Dan Ige, who didn't have much to offer in all realms of the fight, and he was able to just be defensively responsible, take him down when necessary, and I think he should be able to just do the same here. Maybe Keita could have a decent round, make this 29-28, but I think this is going to be another boring decision for Pitbull. Maybe you could get a sub. Not denying that. Yeah, he could find the back of Keita, but yeah, dude, I think it's likely going to be a decision or sub to Pitbull, to be honest. Um, and yeah, dude, moving on to the next. I don't know why this fight's so high up the card, but Axel Solo versus Reese McKee is an actual French guy, by the way, dude. But I think I'm gonna go with Reese McKee, to be honest. I've just seen way more out of him, to be honest. I think he's actually all right at mixing up his weapons, especially like knees and elbows. That's something I really like to see out of fighters. He's also come up the hard way. He got cut from the UFC and then went on a little bit of a run at Cage Warriors. Again, I like putting stock into Cage Warriors. And yeah, dude, split decision to Chidi Njokuani, not a bad look at all, in my opinion. And then he recently got a win as well. So yeah, dude, it's actually not looking too bad for Reese McKee. And yeah, dude, I don't know. Axel Sola, I like watched a few clips. Because to be honest, I can't be asked like just going through this guy's career. But he doesn't look all too good. Um, especially in his last fight, where it was kind of just like scrappy the entire time. Yeah, I trust Reese McKee should just be able to keep this at range, mix in the elbows and stuff where he can. Maybe have somewhat of like a Chris Duncan against Mateus Rebecca-esque performance where he's able to outdamage. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think I'll just trust Reese McKee to get this done, to be honest. Uh, moving on. Uh, uh, this one's a bit hard because I think Bellagioki is the better striker in terms of speed and ability to finish on the feet. But I don't know, man. I think Mason Jones should just be able to out-chin him and mix in the takedowns when he can, to be honest. I think he was able to do that pretty well against what's it called Jeremy Stevens. And Stevens actually looked somewhat decent in that fight. Jones was able to just eat all his punches. And to be honest, I've never really seen a highlight reel from Bellagioki that kind of proves that he's able to just walk through a guy like Jones. So, I'm gonna trust in Jones. I think he's actually somewhat alright, I think he was also I think he's also come up in one of those good promotions like Cage Warriors, but I actually don't know. So yeah, just let me know in the comments, guys. But moving on, pretty easy fight to predict, in my opinion. Modestas Bukauskaus versus Paul Craig. Um, yeah, dude, we've never seen Paul Craig patch up the obvious holes in his game. It was obviously a feel-good moment to see him just completely outman. Um, what was his name again? Rodolfo Bellato. That was a pretty funny moment. But I think the party's going to come to an abrupt end when we see Bukauskaus just TKO him in the first or second round. I think that's just what's going to happen. Paul Craig never wanted to patch up the holes in his game. He's going to be butt screwed and wanting Bukauskaus to engage him on the ground. But yeah, I think Bukauskaus has a little bit more than two brain cells, and he should be able to get a finish. You know what I'm saying? He's on a little bit of a run now. I think he lost that Ion Cutelaba fight, but like, yeah, the win over what's his name again? Rafael Sequeira, um, showing at least some finishing potential there. He's training with Tom Aspinall, and he's actually a light heavyweight, so he could actually use the knowledge a little bit more. So, yeah, I trust that he's able to get this done, to be honest. So, yeah, let's move on. Um, this is a pretty fun one. Listen, dude, I'm not even going to entertain this Benoit Saint Denis pick because I think this is the worst stylistic matchup you could give Saint Denis in this division, to be honest. And I've been thinking this, to be honest, like ever since. I mean, the Prepolek fight kind of exacerbated it a little bit, but like even the Poirier one, dude, like this guy just has horrible defense. And the Moicano fight, he couldn't really show anything in that one. And then Prepolek, he just decided to go all out guns blazing, just looking even worse than the Poirier fight, to be honest. To be fair, Prepolek probably has pillow punches, so he didn't respect the power coming back. But yeah, dude, this is just a horrible matchup. I think even if Saint Denis has a good first round, I think Ruffy's eventually is going to be able to come back and land a nasty one. This guy is like one of the best snipers we have in the UFC, in my opinion. He's really good at just setting up these nasty sniping shots. And I think it's really there's going to be a massive issue against a guy like Saint Denis, who's been chinned before, who kind of just wades into range and is waiting to be chinned. I think Ruffy should be able to just get this done. I don't know what round. Maybe he clip farms, saves it for the third. It should just be an easy KO for him though. So yeah, I'm maybe going with the obvious pick. I'm never going to entertain Benoit. But moving on to the main event. This is quite an anticipated one, to be honest, because I've always been on the side that Caio Borralho is the better fighter out of these two. Both of these guys are kind of NPCs, to be honest. They're both kind of just like well-rounded fighters that don't really excel anywhere, to be honest. So it's a little bit of a 50-50 pick, but yeah, I've always kind of preferred Caio to Imavov because I think Imavov was literally like losing that Cannoneer fight, and there's no way to tell that he would have finished Cannoneer legitimately because we've seen Cannoneer survive way worse. For example, that Gregor Rodriguez fight, the Caio Borralho fight as well. So yeah, I think to be honest, I don't even rule that as a win for Imavov to be completely honest. And the win against Brendan Allen, he got held down for the entire first round of that fight, and then he proceeded to make it look kind of close on the feet with him as well in the next two. And then against Adesanya, he was losing the fight until he landed um, a good KO punch. So I've never been a fan of Imavov. To be honest, he's my least favorite middleweight in the entire division. Um, so yeah, to be fair, Caio Borralho hasn't proven all too much, but again, out grappled Brendan Allen in the grappling match. That's definitely a good look coming into this matchup. Against Cannonier, he did get bruised up a little bit, but was able to, in my opinion, deal with the striking better. You know, Imavov just kind of got held up against the fence a lot and wasn't able to impose his will on the striking because of it. Baralho was actually able to outstrike him across the rounds. So yeah, dude, I don't know. This is a really close one, but ultimately I can't really pick Caio because, in my opinion, there's just so much going against him into this fight. For example, he made weight, what, 3 weeks ago for that Hamzat Chimaev fight? And also, this is the French commission. I forgot to mention this before, but I don't know, man. This French commission, if you don't remember, like in the last event that they had in Paris, Brendan Allen was complaining that the French commission would like make the weight cuts worse. I forgot what it was, but yeah, it would just be a biased time over there. I think that Barajo's probably gonna have similar issues. I think he like was questioning some reporter as well. I heard, I saw a thumbnail. Yeah, dude, I can't trust this. I think there's honestly a good chance it goes to a close decision as well. And yeah, I mean, who do you think they'd favor? I also think that the finishing potential kind of goes to Imavov purely because we've seen him chin more people. Maybe Baralho gets a sub, but I don't know. I think the chances of Imavov KO would be higher. So yeah, dude, I honestly think Kara is the better fighter. In terms of grappling, I think he's better than Imavov. I think he's shown more. I think in terms of the striking, he's looked better in his Cannonier performance than Imavov, but I think this is way too close to be picking Barajo. I don't think Barajo has enough finishing potential for me to pick him, and yeah, man, like, and also the chances of Imavov KO are somewhat high. So yeah, dude, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to be going with Imavov here. I would like to preface that I believe Barajo to be the better fighter, and I think he's gonna show that in this fight, making me kind of tempted to pick him. But at the end of the day, I kind of have to go with what's the safer pick to protect my ever falling prediction rate. But yeah, dude, I'm gonna have to be going with Imavov here to get this done, probably for some sort of fluke. I think, in my opinion, I think he's honestly been fluking the rest of his career. But yeah, that will do it for this video. Um, yeah, I'll obviously be recapping it. Uh, so yeah, on to the next one. Goodbye.